Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about what is going on in the village of Dolton. Yes, we're given more updates on the Supermayor because now it appears for the past week that everyday residents who need to conduct business at the village hall are completely locked out. They're completely restricted from entering this particular area, and this is because the Supermayor has escalated yet again, and instead of locking people out for meetings, instead of pushing and shoving and keeping them out because she doesn't like them, instead of forcing people into the basement like we covered so they can't give negative public comment, she has just decided that if you need to go to Village Hall for any reason, you're not welcome here anymore. It's her palace, and you don't even get to live there. No, it's just like her ice rink, only open when she says it's open. Now, we're going to get into this, but before we do, I want to thank everybody. Sign up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And remind you that on Saturday, April 27th, in Austin, Texas, I will be at Minds Fest. A link to ticket in the top of the description. Promo code AGW for 20% off.
How long have you lived in Dolton?
38 years.
Have you ever not been able to get into Village Hall?
One time. Not one time.
Yet another surprise for residents of South Suburban Dolton who now say they can't get into their own village hall. This after some residents were locked out of a village board meeting last night.
So like I said, we touched on this in a previous video, that particular board meeting. You guys can check that out, assuming YouTube didn't screw up my channel and now I can't show it or I'm airing them out of order. It doesn't matter, whatever. You'll be able to see it soon enough. And that was a problem, and it seemed like that was an issue specifically for that meeting. And the reason I thought that was the case is because, again, they said credible threats and whatnot. But apparently, for this resident who's been in Dolton for 38 years, they just can't get into this particular area, period, point blank, because once again, the Supermayor has changed the rules. Now, the Village Hall, it belongs to the public, obviously. People are supposed to enter there, and you would think that maybe this would have to do with them trying to get records, and Henry trying to stop them from doing so, or maybe the fact that you had Tommy G show up to this particular area and prove that the police will swarm you if you go to the wrong part of town because they want to keep you away from the Supermayor. But this is actually a place where people have to pay their bills, like have to pay tickets and fines and whatnot to the village of Dolton, and they can't even get in for those situations without some kind of additional extra steps that were just put in place by the Supermayor.
And then I went to reach for the doors. You can't go in. Wait a minute. No offense. Y'all do know this is a government building.
Dolton resident Cheryl Hill used her cell phone to document what happened when she tried to get some paperwork at Dolton's Village Hall last week.
So what you mean? Why people can't come in there? Yeah. Why people can't come in there?
New security procedures went into effect last week, the village says, in response to threats.
So one of the ways that you know that this is a new thing is just by looking at the condition of that lock on this door that was never meant to be locked that way. They didn't even have the time to install a new security door or anything like that. They just put that thing right on there, and now you can't enter the village hall without the permission of the god of the village of Dolton, the Supermayor, Tiffany A. Henyard. Now, of course, they're saying security concerns, but to me, this is a deflection. They're getting a lot of scrutiny, and I'm sure, unfortunately, there are additional threats going to the Supermayor. That should not be the case. So you guys out there in the audience should enjoy the story, but let the authorities handle it. On top of that, I don't want her to be a victim or anything to happen to her, because she is the goose that laid the golden egg. She is something that we can talk about and have a great time about. So I don't want anybody to be escalating their behavior like that. But the idea that you're probably getting threats from the internet.com because you've become a national story, therefore your regular ordinary residents can't pay their bills, ridiculous and absurd. And also, you guys can secure with your massive security detail the Supermayor without, preventing people from paying their bills. Like she's not in front taking the ticket payments and all the stuff that the regular residents of Dolton need to do. And by the way, they show a woman who had been there for 38 years. I don't know how old she is, but she does look like she's on the older side. These people don't do online payments. They have issues with that. And a lot of times they end up getting scammed in situations like that. So allowing them to go in their small town to the village hall to pay their bills is actually a security measure.
Against controversial Mayor Tiffany Henyard and village employees. It used to be the Dolton residents who needed to take care of a bill or a license perhaps would walk in the main entrance right here, and then they would go into this common area where you'd see the service desks back there, but now it's all locked right here.
So yeah, like the local news reporter says, they put in the new lock. Obviously, you can see that for yourself, but get a load of this new solution for the residents. And just remember, the Supermayor, the self-titled Supermayor, calls herself the people's mayor. But see what the people have to deal with when they want to pay bills in the village of Dolton. It's essentially the most inconvenient thing humanly possible. And God forbid you're handicapped or anything like that, because you're totally screwed over by this policy change.
Excuse me?
Now residents have to talk to a security guard behind a window in the vestibule and conduct their business in that small, cramped area.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh at this situation because in reality, the village of Dolton residents are suffering due to the supermayor. That's an absolute fact. Let's keep it 100% on that. And even though a small amount of people voted for her and she won the Democratic primary, which essentially locks up the general election in her initial election, they did vote her out in a recall petition. That petition, unfortunately, just got declared unconstitutional. But come on. This isn't funny to you? You have to conduct all of your business at the village in this tiny cramped area with the security guard through a little mail slot because the supermayor is getting threatened online. The same supermayor that is paying over $1 million in additional overtime to the police, the one with 8 people on her security detail, the one that people are billing 303 hours over a 2-week period. This is like the perfect example of corrupt politicians. You know how they say, oh, Cori Bush, she's in favor of defunding the police, but she spends all this money on her own private security, and that's hypocritical. And we all get that. We all understand why that's an issue, because it's really defund your police because they could afford private security. On top of that, she's paying it to her boyfriend, who then became her husband. Very questionable. But this is worse. A threat or potential threats to the supermayor because she's getting national attention from the internet.com has led her to lock down the entirety of this building, even though she already has this immense security detail that confronts you when you start going up to these buildings like they did Tommy G and the residents.
Young lady showed up earlier this morning, went in and was totally upset. She had no idea that she could not go into the building, just the foyer, had to do her paperwork standing outside in the rain.
You plebs, you people who don't count as much as the supermayor, got to conduct all of your business through this window. And by the way, again, the village of Dolton uses their police for fundraising. So tickets, all this other stuff, that's what these inspectors do because she's trying to extract as much money as humanly possible from the residents. She's raised property taxes repeatedly. She's trying to do it again right now. And all of your business needs to be conducted through this window. I mean, come on. It's a whole hall right there that they're supposed to wait in line and all that. I'm not saying that you can't have a metal detector or something like that in order to, try to prevent people from bringing weapons in. But Tiffany Henyard needs to be in absolute comfort, feel absolutely 100% protected 100% of the time, even though, by the way, I don't want her to feel unsafe or anything like that. But you gotta suffer because of it, because she's your dear leader. All this needs, so 100% being legitimate about this, is just a poster of the supermayor in that little cramped area. That's the one thing that I would add to this, and I hesitate to even say that because chances are it's already up. They already thought of it. They just ordered it, of course, billed it to the taxpayer, and they're gonna put it up right there. That just, you gotta get the service from the hand. It's like a giant poster with the hand of Tiffany Henyard, and that's how you gotta do all your business. Because by the grace of her, you're able to be in this small cramped room that I don't even think you could fit a wheelchair in.
We are being treated, as the resident, I say we, as though we were in prison in our own town, in a place where we pay taxes.
Look, I can't deny that this is true. They are being treated like prisoners. They are being treated like trash. They have to stand outside in the rain to fill out physical paperwork. Just think about the technical limitations of that. It's also pretty cold in Illinois right now, definitely colder than it is in the Northeast. And that's just a crappy thing to do to your residents. But again, Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor, the one who's always loving on the people.
We under attack. We getting scrutinized in the media. For what? Loving on the people, showing them that they matter to us. We going through the fires for y'all. We, us, me and my administration. So don't y'all ever talk to them like that. Don't y'all ever tell them that they was told what to say. Because they don't. They got minds of themselves. And they all educated up here. All of them got degrees. Stop it. Stop with the disrespect. We going to end that right now. Stop. We elected, not them. So don't bring them in our fight because you guys got to bicker with me. When y'all want to fight, I told you, you meet me at the post.
Doesn't actually care about the people. The people that she's loving on is herself, and she demands that you give her your allegiance while you stand out in the rain, filling out your paperwork in order to pay your fines and fees that she is enforcing upon you in order to extract as much money as possible, just so you can have a foyer in a building because you're not even allowed in the building that your tax dollars pay for.
I wouldn't trust this woman if she stood on a stack of Bibles and had her tongue notarized. Not a damn thing she says comes out her mouth is true.
Now, like I said, I will look into her case because I think it is important to do so. And the Dolton police have no trust for me based on what they allow to go on and based on the ways that they abuse their power to harass residents and members of the media who are just trying to get information. That being said, that line right there, stack of Bibles, and if her tongue was notarized, I wouldn't trust what she says. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful.
The meeting ended early when 4 opposition trustees walked out, saying there was ample room for the crowd, and refusing entry to all would violate the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
The meeting was adjourned because we have to have enough space, so we have to. The Open Meetings Act requires that that we have enough space for everybody to get in.
Now, look, again, they referenced the previous meeting right there, and it is technically true. It's the Open Meetings Act. You're not supposed to bar people from entering if there is no room. They cite a security risk, a security threat, but it's 25 people waiting outside in the cold, in the rain in Dolton, Illinois, that they could have checked or done what they needed to do. They had 53 extra minutes that they cut off from this meeting while they were dealing with the security issues. So I just don't believe that. Look at how many officers that they have right there, and think about all the officers that are in Tiffany Henyard's personal detail. If you're going to make money for 300 hours of overtime, then you better at least work a little bit for that money. If you're going to scam the system, please do the work a little bit.
As you just saw, is chaos amongst our 4 trustees. They didn't come here to handle the business. They came here to do a political theater stunt, which you just saw.
As for the decision to lock the doors on Village Hall, a Henyard spokesperson blames, quote, threats of violence as a result of the continuous misinformation portrayed by the media and internet bloggers who are using Dolton as a means to generate ratings and revenue. Our staff and elected officials have received several disturbing communications via emails, social media, phone calls, and visitors from across the country. As such, our security protocols have changed.
You absolutely gotta love that. Tiffany Henyard is like, listen, you media people who are spreading this misinformation, you bloggers and vloggers, I'm assuming I'm included in that, I'm among that are just profiting off of our lies about the super mayor, which, you know, is us showing you what the super mayor is doing, and we're getting a lot of disturbing phone calls and emails and people showing up from across the country. I think that's Tommy G right there. And that has caused us to lock down the Village Hall. Now, I know a lot of people appreciated the Tommy G documentary that he did about the super mayor, about the village of Dolton and whatnot. But who would have thought that because he came and visited the village of Dolton, by the way, was greeted with overwhelming force by the Dolton police when he tried to go near this place, that now everybody would have to be standing up, filling out their paperwork outside in the rain. Tommy G, you owe these people something. I bring them a tent so that they can have something to shelter them from the rain, because you did this, and we all did this by noticing what Tiffany Henyard's doing. And again, I will add, don't send her threats, don't send her the phone calls or anything like that. Let this story play out. The fact that we have attention shining on it, national attention, the fact that all these people who were covering it well before the national media were covering it because it was so interesting and compelling, that is doing its work. But I don't want anything to happen to Henyard. And honestly, I told you, I have great financial incentives for the indictment to be delayed as long as possible, and for when an indictment comes, for that trial to be as public as possible. So I'm kind of rooting for Tiffany Henyard. She is right about that. We do generate the revenue off of her, and that's gonna hurt me a lot. I want to go on a nice honeymoon, so Super Mayor, keep doing things like forcing your people to go to a kiosk, a little hole in the wall, and having to deal with everything, when for 30 plus years, or since the Village Hall opened, they were allowed to go in there.
But residents we talked to believe the mayor is hiding behind a security threat to keep them out of her business.
Because she have a lot of things she have to hide. She have to account for the money that's being spent.
In my opinion, that's 100% true, but honestly, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did I, Sean Fitzgerald, the actual justice warrior, Nate the lawyer, a Black conservative perspective, a Hannibal is hungry, and all these other people who have been covering this story from the jump, create a situation where the residents can't go into their own village hall because of our grave security threats with our misinformation and disinformation. Is this our fault? Are we to blame, as the super mayor says, or is this a convenient excuse to do what she was already doing on a greater scale, which is hiding from the village, hiding from scrutiny, hiding from the public in all these different various ways? I think she should be able to put up metal detectors or whatever to protect herself from threats. It's not like her office is right there in the beginning of the village hall. It's not like she already doesn't have an extraordinary security detail to protect her, and that this happens to be absurd. But, you know, maybe you feel differently. Maybe you feel these old people should wait out in the rain. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the latest stunt for the super mayor. Till next time.